What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another Pokemon Sun and Moon Wi-Fi battle. Today I have another PU match, and this one is using a really interesting team that my good buddy Chad gave me. It's basically just based around Electivire and Swoobat. Essentially what happens is Electivire sets up the electric terrain, and then I can switch in Swoobat, who has the electric seed item, which upon switch in, it'll give me a +2 raise in defense. That's basically just because of this thing's ability called Simple. It doubles the stat changes. So getting some Calm Minds and with including the defense boost, this thing can really take some hits, and with stored power, honestly hits extremely hard. But let's go ahead and hop into the battle, see if I can get this to work. So this is against Scott from Twitter, and I'm going to go ahead and lead off with my Clefairy. I don't see any reason not to. I want to get those Stealth Rocks up as early as possible, and he ends up leading off with his Shield Face, the Bastiodon, which I haven't even seen one of these things in forever, but I'm just going to get up those free Stealth Rocks, as I'm expecting him to probably do the same, and he does. So at this point, I don't really have anything that can hit this Bastiodon. Obviously, Clefairy doesn't really do a whole lot, kind of just Toxics and Soft Boil and Thunder Wave, so essentially it's there for special defense support. But I'm just going to switch right into Bob Barker here. Hitmonchan comes out, ready to punch this thing right in the steel face, but he's actually going to switch himself out into his Weezing, which is a terrible matchup for me. I cannot really hurt this thing. My best option is Ice Punch, although I was considering staying in here and just going for the Rapid Spin right away, but I'm going to actually just switch into my Pyroar here. I really just want to be able to scare this thing out with a hard-hitting special attacker. This is a Specs Pyroar, so it's really fast, and it can definitely hurt some shit. So he's actually just going to go right for the Sludge Bomb. I take that kind of nicely, but honestly, after the Stealth Rock damage, I'm looking pretty hurt over here, as I'm expecting him to probably want to switch, but I don't want to make anything too risky here, as he is going to switch into Gary the Snail on the incoming Specs Flamethrower, which is going to do a decent chunk to this thing. I should have gone for Hyper Voice, but I guess it honestly doesn't really matter. But I do have a Cacturne on my team, which is a great answer to this thing, because it's obviously allergic as hell to grass. So I'm just going to switch right into Cacturne, maybe hoping he might go for a Scald, that way I can activate my Water Absorb. But instead, he's just going to hit me with a Toxic, which really isn't the end of the world for me. I know that this thing isn't really going to want to stay in here, so I've got to try to make some predictions. I know that his easiest switch-in is the Weezing, so I'm actually going to try to get this Electivire in here and try to get some shenanigans going with that Swoobat. So as I'm looking at the team preview, it looks like I could potentially have the little sweep going here. So I'm going to expect to switch into Weezing, and I'm going to go right into Electivire, who has some Fallout Boy name. I don't know. I didn't name it. This is Chad's Electivire, okay? But yeah, so he does actually end up switching right into the Dragon Balls, so my prediction was correct. And at this point, I'm not really too worried about what this thing wants to do to me. I know I can take any attack, and I actually wouldn't be too worried if this thing goes for the Will-O-Wisp. So I'm going to go ahead and set up that electric terrain, making shit all yellow. And that is pretty awesome. So that's going to stick around for a while. I do have to switch in my Swoobat on this to be able to get the electric seed to activate. But he goes for the Sludge Bomb. That is going to poison me, which I guess honestly isn't too bad, because now he can't Will-O-Wisp. And I guess I could enjoy a little bit more attack for a little while. But yeah, I decide here to actually just switch right into the Swoobat. It's a great answer to the Weezing, obviously being Psychic type. And this thing really can't hurt me, even though I don't have any special defense boosts. He won't be able to do a whole lot with the Sludge Bomb. So the Electric Seed is going to pop there. I get a nice little +2 defense, making me pretty freaking bulky. After a Calm Mind, this thing is going to be insanely hard to take care of, but we actually ended up double switching there as he goes into his Gastrodon. That's honestly fine by me. If this thing has anything for me, it'd be like Ice Beam, but I'm not really too worried. I'm going to go for a nice little Calm Mind, and due to my Simple ability, that is going to give me a nice little sharp raise in both special attack and special defense. So he goes for the Toxic, actually ends up missing, which is quite unfortunate for him. But at this point, I'm going to go straight for the stored power. I have +2 in defense, special attack, and special defense, so I figure I might as well just go for that. That's going to end up taking this thing out, which I'm assuming was his special defense wall, so that's just doing some solid damage there, as now he is going to switch into the Shield Face. So here's an interesting play. He is going to get hurt by the Stealth Rock and actually ends up going for the Protect. The reason being is that he wants to get his leftovers to be able to bring him back to full HP, which will then reactivate his Sturdy ability. So I actually go for another Calm Mind on the Protect. I now have +4 special attack and special defense. Sitting pretty damn nice here. Swoobat is actually one of the faster Pokemon in the tier. There's only a handful of Pokemon that outspeed this thing, so once you get those stat boosts, it's really kind of game over. But I go for the stored power now, and that is going to knock it down to his Sturdy, and here's where I forget that Metal Burst is a thing. So he is just going to go straight for the Metal Burst. My special defense boosts are not going to help me there, because that move basically just deals double the damage that you received in the turn prior. So that was a great answer to my Swoobat. I could have been able to get a nice little sweep going there had this Bastiodon not had that move, so that really does kind of suck, but that's at least going to make this a little more interesting because now I'm going to have to find a way around this without my basically main Pokemon of the team. So I now bring in Hitmonchan. I'm just going to go for a Rapid Spin to get those rocks out of there. It's going to help out with a lot of stuff, including the Pyroar switch in. So he's actually just going to get a free Toxic on me, which does kind of suck. I'm now bouncing around a little bit slower now, but you know, I'm still ready to punch some shit. So this thing's face is honestly a nice little target practice for Hitmonchan. So I'm actually just going to finish this thing off with a Drain Punch. Psych, he goes for a Protect, so that's kind of annoying. Basically just going to stall out another turn of toxic damage, which really isn't the end of the world, honestly, but he's over there eating some leftovers, kind of enjoying his last meal, as I'm just going to be able to finish this thing off the next turn with a Drain Punch. So at least I was able to whittle this thing down. I don't have to worry about both his special defense wall and his physical defense wall, so I do finish it off with a nice little Drain Punch. I'm going to steal his health somehow through my fists. I don't know how that works, but I'm kind of glad that it does work because that's pretty sweet. Hitmonchan is honestly a beast in the PU tier as well. This thing kicks ass. I guess it punches ass if we're being correct here. But anyway, he's now going to switch back into his Weezing, which is actually another physical defense wall. So he does still have one of these damn things left. So I was kind of wrong earlier, but this guy's got a bulky ass team. But I'm just going to switch right into my Electivire. My plan here was I figured I might be able to take one Sludge Bomb and then be able to hit this thing really hard with my Electrium Z, although unfortunately the poison damage is going to knock me out there. So down goes Electivire, and I've got at least the good news about this is that it allows me to switch into something freely, which is going to be my Pyroar. So I bring this thing in basically just because it can hit the Weezing the hardest. After losing Swoobat, I don't really have a whole lot for this thing, so I'm forced to go into this just to go for a nice little Specs Flamethrower. It's not going to end up knocking this thing out, unfortunately, and he's able to fire a nice little Sludge Bomb off on me in return, which does end up killing me. So that does kind of suck, but the good news is this thing is really easy to take care of now. So I'm just going to bring right back in Bob Barker, ready to throw some fucking right hooks here as I go for an Ice Punch, and that is going to knock this thing out. So down goes the Weezing, which is a great sight to see. I'm over here getting hurt by some poison, but honestly not too fazed by it. We're going rounds today. We ain't getting out this ring. But he's now going to go into his Drifblim, and this is kind of an interesting play because maybe he thinks he might be able to outspeed me, but I just stay in and go right for the Ice Punch, which will end up taking this thing out. So down goes the Drifblim. He probably thought he was going to be able to outspeed. Not really all that sure, kind of a misplay there. But good to see that thing gone, honestly. And now at this point, he's going to go into the Ditto. So these Ditto plays actually get very interesting towards the end of this match here. So he is going to transform into my Hitmonchan, obviously. And I don't really want to have a fight with myself because I do have a Clefairy in the back of my team. So I'm just going to switch into old Tiny Wings here. I know that this thing's moveset, obviously, because it's mine. So the best thing he has to hit me with is Ice Punch. And I know that that's going to do less than half, which is awesome. So he does hit me with a Drain Punch there. It does a nice little chunk here as I'm going to go for a Thunder Wave as he's going to switch into his Charizard. So his last two Pokemon are the Charizard and the Ditto. He's going to get absolutely destroyed by the Stealth Rock as I'm stoked to get a nice little para on this thing. It should be able to help out. But my Clefairy actually doesn't have anything that I can hit this Charizard with. I only have Moonblast, and that's not going to do a whole lot of damage. So I'm just going to switch into my Cacturne here as he goes ahead and activates the Firenium Z. I was pretty worried here on what it was going to be. Actually, it turns out that he goes for the Z Sunny Day, which is going to bring up the sun, and it's going to give him a boost in speed. So the sun's out, gun's out. I'm out here photosynthesizing this shit up as he actually does have solar power, so that's going to give him a boost in attack, but he does take damage every turn. So this is actually a pretty interesting Charizard. I tried to go for the Sucker Punch, hoping that I might catch him trying to go for an attack, but he's too smart for that, as he actually ended up getting fully parried. I believe he was trying to go for Roost, which he does show me here that he does have. So I tried to go for Sucker Punch again, just trying to make sure that this guy doesn't have Roost, but he does have it. And unfortunately, that's going to bring him back to pretty healthy amount of HP. So Solar Power is still doing his thing, and at this point, I know that he's going to continue going for Roost. Knowing that the poison damage will rack up and eventually kill me, I'm actually going to end up going for a Swords Dance here, as he's going to Roost yet again. This man is just spending more time on the ground than he is in the air, so that's actually a pretty clutch thing for me, as you'll see here. So I go for the Swords Dance, gonna give myself a nice little +2 in attack, and my best option at this point is to go for Superpower and hope that this turn he goes for Roost. The reason is because during the turn that you go for Roost, you actually lose your Flying type. And as you'll see here, I'm able to hit this thing with a superpower, and that is going to be neutral damage rather than not very effective, and that is going to take out the Charizard, which is insane. So Roost actually really helped me out there, and superpower is going to take out the Charizard. I lose some health to the to the Life Orb, and then I actually end up dying to the poison. But Cacturne did his job, and that was actually some pretty cool plays. But now I know that I do have a strategy. His last Pokemon is the Ditto, so all I really have to do at this point is to switch into my Hitmonchan, basically forcing him to transform into Hitmonchan, and then my last Pokemon after the Chan is going to be my Clefairy, so hoping that I can get the type matchup there. He is going to be able to outspeed me and go for an Ice Punch, which does take out my Hitmonchan, so fucking Imposter beats me. But now it's basically all up to Clefairy here, who is hopefully going to be able to handle this. So he's going to go for an Ice Punch, and judging by that damage, it looks like I can take another one, which is perfect. So I go for the Thunder Wave. I'm basically just kind of trying to hope for some Parahacks here to kind of help me out. But he is still going to be faster than me, which allows him to go for another Ice Punch. I live it with 2 HP. I'm now going to pop open a nice little hard-boiled egg, and that's going to put me above half health here. So that was insane. I was really lucky to be able to live that. And he breaks through the paralysis again, goes for another Ice Punch, and at this point all I really have to do is continue going for Soft Boiled until he either gets a Parahax or until I have enough health that I can take 2 of them to be able to start firing off some Moonblast. So he isn't getting Parahaxed here, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? I'm pretty full of these fucking eggs by this point. But I am at good enough health here to be able to take 2 Ice Punches, so I'm just going to start throwing out some Moonblast, as he actually ends up having to go for a struggle because he ran out of Ice Punches, which was not something that I thought about, but it definitely works in my favor because he hurts himself quite a bit. And all I've really got to do here is just throw the Moon at him once, and actually one more would be able to finish it off, but he is actually going to forfeit here. So that was a really interesting match. I was able to get the win there. Very close battle. Honestly, living with 2 HP on that second Ice Punch was super clutch, but honestly, I had a really fun match. I really just kind of wanted to showcase this team. It's really fun to use, but yeah, as always, thank you guys for watching. Hit that like button on this video if you enjoyed, and don't forget to subscribe for some more Wi-Fi battles. Peace out.